Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
I'm excited. Again, we're talking about a concept of mindfulness and storytelling. So, since we last spoke, perhaps you can share the storyline behind how you've integrated diversity, equity, and equanimity around your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it equity?
Diversity. Uh, that's a great word.
I believe it means being at peace, but I think it was a different
Peaceful.
word.
Inclusion. Yeah.
Inclusion. That's
DEI. Yeah. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Sometimes people also add B for belonging or belongingness. Um, but yeah, I've completed my certificate in diversity, equity, inclusion. I've also already been certified as a professional diversity coach. As a And my background is as a business growth coach with a specialty in marketing. And I was wondering, like, how do I combine everything? I decided at first, well, I was going to do what I say, right? And we recommend that the first thing to do is just listen, to just listen, to educate yourself, to read. And by listening and educating yourself, you're going to hear other people's perspectives. And it may challenge what you already know or what you think you know is the truth. There are times when I question because one side is telling me one thing and the other side is telling me the other. And being okay with not always knowing what is right. Because maybe one person's truth is their truth and the other person's truth or side. You want to look at it that way. So what I did was just listen. And I started reading and learning more about the issues because when we were first talking, well, it might have been a little bit after, just we were experiencing very big world events that I felt very passionate about. And I started with listening and then I just started sharing. I wouldn't always share to my business profile, but maybe I would share it to my stories or I would comment on it. I would share it with friends and watched and learn. Then, as I started learning, I wanted to focus on what will my message be in my business because I'm not professionally an activist. That's not my business. However, how can I incorporate what I believe into my business? So that was all of me being as mindful as I can be of the situation and not throwing in my voice when I had no knowledge, no firsthand experience in what was going on in these current events. So it wasn't to me to make content on it. I think that would be very um I think that would be very selfish and tone deaf to the situation. However, I'm still a business owner. I still got to grow my business. I still have to market my business. I still have to get clients. I'm not a professional activist. That's not my business. And remember how I talked about like blowing things up and starting all over again? I was not tempted, but it did cross my mind for just a second to like, do I need to like end my business and start a nonprofit? So
well, and that's
I'm not going to. I'm
well,
not
no,
going.
it's okay because I have actually been drawn to those kind of people as coaches, those who
Yeah.
are in the mindfulness space, cross over marketing, but they are witnessing things in the world that gets them
Mhm.
activated to become an
Yeah.
activist. And
Yeah.
I can totally get that.
Yeah. So I'm not going to do that right now. And actually I'll give a little tip for those of you who are like me who maybe you have ADHD or maybe you just have big visions, a lot of ideas. There's a concept that we use in business coaching called the parking lot. So whenever you have these ideas and they're different from your current mission, they go in the parking lot. I call it the someday list because I do feel like I'm going to do it someday. And sometimes I do. Sooner than later. So, okay, so that nonprofit, I'm not sure what that is yet. Maybe I'm more helping out in that nonprofit, but it's going to go on the Sunday list. But those are the things I'm being mindful of is my own actions, my words, and then how I share that in my messaging. As I started sharing, I realized that I was losing followers, and I was also gaining followers. And sometimes it's a little hurtful when you realize that someone who you thought was a friend unfollows you or maybe even blocks you because of what you're sharing and what you're posting. But when I saw who was following me, I'm like, I think these really my people. Like I mentioned my niche last time about focusing on marketers. It could be even more specific on niche, is what if they're marketers who focus on social justice causes? I mean, that fills my heart. That lights me up. I don't have to stop a business and start a nonprofit if I can help others get their message out. That gets me really excited. So by being able to be slow in my slight pivot here, and to be mindful of the situation, mindful of my own impact on others, that's opened the doors to some new connections that are pretty amazing. I mean, they're still new. I'm not going to pounce on them for their business, but I'm pretty impressed that just by sharing what I do believe in, it's attracting my people, and it's attracting some big influencers. I'm like, oh, I caught the eye of someone. It's neat. And I really love what they do. Even if they don't work with me, I don't even know if they need my services. But even if they don't work with me, I think that's really cool to have someone in your sphere who you believe in as well. They believe in you, and who knows what would happen. We'll have to do an episode 5 years from now. And you could ask me, hey, you mentioned that big influencer started following you. You could ask me if that came into anything, 5 years
When I
from
was
now.
going, yeah, I will definitely ask you. In fact, I'll ask you 6 months from now because when I went through my most recent marketing training, at the end of our training, we were asked, who would you like to have as your ideal customer? I'm like, can,
Mm,
can I even dream that? How would I manifest? Because the
yeah.
people, and the good news is you and I are talking about people that align with our core values or things that light us
Mhm,
up and we're passionate about. So I
mhm.
definitely look forward to how that story unfolds. Now,
Yeah.
before we get too far ahead, just so
Yeah.
people have some context, maybe you can share though what has been going on for the last 3 months, or even longer now, in the
Mhm,
world that is difficult. Because I'm aware of how you've been sharing, and I find that helpful. Those stories.
mhm. Yeah. In the last few months, I've I've been able to wrap in these what I considered different concepts at first with my DEI work as well as the marketing work, and be able to show people, for example, if I'm posting about marketing message, I can I can create educational pieces about, you can wrap in your core values of, for example, diversity, equity, inclusion into your marketing message. Even as simple as simple, even things as simple as the language you use and how inclusive it is. If you're always let's say you love working with parents, but you're always talking to moms, maybe that's excluding people who are drawn to you, but because you use the word moms, they think, oh, that's not for me. But if you say parents, maybe they're more drawn to you. And see, here's where it gets a little tricky, because wait a minute, Gail, you talked about niche last time. And I thought I was focusing on mom. You can. I think it's all about who you're drawn to and who you want to help. So if you, in your heart, you really do want to work with parents, maybe who are more maternal, or maybe they're the main caretaker, but the gender doesn't really matter, then that's where you can be more inclusive. It's completely personal. It's completely up to you. I'll give another example is I had a client who always used stock photos in their marketing. And just out of habit, they never thought about how the people looked in the image. So that was brought up during our marketing meeting, during our marketing strategy, who are your ideal clients? And when she described a more diverse client, I pointed out, okay, well, something that we want to look at is the photos you use in your marketing, because I only see one type of person. So that might be something that we change up, is how do we have more inclusive imaging in our marketing, and does it have the images that of the people you want to attract? I live in a very diverse community, and I have a diverse clientele of both gender, non-binary, both in sexual orientation, and I wanted to be sure that my images look like that. I'm using more pictures of me and my husband. But as our marketing expands, and we did do this in the past when we posted a lot of blog posts, is we were very aware of the stock photos we were using because we wanted to look like the people that we were helping. And that may change as your business changes, then your brand image will change as well.
I like the fact that, not even like, I love the idea that this niche area that you've incorporated into your business as a lens to look at the world and in the marketing world is so mindful. Even the language that you're using in terms of um, I wouldn't say the ethnicity or the people that are being represented visually.
Mhm.
Even when you were talking earlier about coaching and how you tune in and listen to them, and there's an approach of non-judgment. I just enjoy that.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I'll
Yeah,
give another tip
yeah.
for those of you who teach courses, is to see if you can uh, if you're able to provide different ways to learn from your course. So maybe you have video, maybe there's closed caption on the video, maybe there's transcript, a private podcast, bullet point and notes. And that does seem like more work, and it can be, but thankfully there's all these new tools out there that make it more automated. For example, I've been using Vimeo forever to host my videos for my classes, and it automatically puts in closed captions. It's not always perfect, but it's pretty good. You could always go in and correct it. I use Mighty Networks for my membership, and they now have automated captions in that. I use the script for video editing, and you can export a transcript. So it is a little bit of work, but it also makes your courses more inclusive to people's both learning styles as well as accessibility for how they take in information. And that can increase the completion rate of your course. And the more people who complete the course and do what they're supposed to do, the more success stories you'll have. And so it just feeds on that. You're going to be able to help more people by being more inclusive in how you deliver your work.
That is a great point, especially since I believe that many people don't know that if you have content out there in the web, those who have accessibility issues may not be able to fully engage, which
Mhm.
as a marketer, we may be losing clientele that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I have found, yeah, for myself, I'm kind of I just want to either play it in the background or read the bullet points. And if I'm not able to do that, unfortunately, I don't always complete the course.
yeah, I can completely relate to that, especially as busy solopreneurs, which
Mhm.
I do believe that we're trying to multitask often. Well, Gail, I always enjoy a conversation with you. In this particular our podcast, going over mindfulness as it relates to elevating your customers and clientele. I think you brought up this wonderful perspective that you're elevating them through DEI. You can remind me what it stands for.
Yeah, I think we all want to be included. We all want to feel like we belong. And that's where we build this community for our clients, is meeting them where they're at, wherever they're at.
Wonderful. Well, Gail, I look forward to having you back in the near future. Elevate for energy awareness in a few months from now.
Ooh, yeah, that'll
Okay.
be fun.
And I always want to hear how the story's evolving with your practice or a particular clientele, or even in your case, how it's affected you. And you're the perfect person for applying DEI into your business, because you've probably experienced certain types of diversity or lack of, I would say, equality issues. I know I have.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's a whole nother conversation of how the coaching industry is coming to a reckoning of when they haven't been inclusive with others. And we're encouraging people to be a certain way, and maybe that is in direct conflict with their personal values and beliefs and culture even. So how can
Absolutely.
we as coaches, I know we both do consulting and coaching, but especially in the coaching world, how can we make space for our clients so that they are who they are? And we're helping elevate them through coaching, but not denying their true self.
I couldn't have said it better. We'll have to have a separate podcast just on that, but that was so eloquently expressed. Well, thank you, Gail. Have a great day.
Thank you, Shilpa.